Alright, we're going to be looking at how to find the slope or the average rate of change, and the easiest way is if you're given a graph, you're just going to calculate the rise over the run. So I'll just find the 2 points on the graph, and I'll just say, okay, it goes up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So my rise is 1 and my run is 4, so my slope is 1/4. If it's given to you in a graph, you're just counting between the points. Now you'll see graphs with positive slopes and negative slope. You'll notice the graph on the right, it actually goes down. So if I start from a certain point, I'm actually dropping 1, 2, 3 points. So I'm going down 3, and then I'm going right 2 spaces. So my slope would be -3 over 2. So depending on the way this graph is going, and we always, when we're talking positive and negative, it's always left to right. On the first graph, I went up to the right. On the second graph, I went down to the right. Okay, so we're always moving to the right when we're calculating the slope and trying to determine that. Now, we won't always be given a graph. You may be just given 2 points on a graph. Okay, now if I'm ever given 2 points on a graph and we're asked to find the slope is the rise over the run. Well, if I'm given 2 points, it kind of helps me to write them. Like, let's say I write the first point, 15.3. They gave us 2 points. They said 15.3, and the other point was 18.10. All right, when we're talking about points, this is an X, this is a Y. Now, when we're looking at finding the slope between those 2 points, what I'm really looking at is how much do the Y's change if I were to take those 2 Y values and subtract them, and how much do the X's change, and that's just, they call that X2 minus X1. I'm just seeing how much does it go up, how much does it change from here to here, and the run would be calculated by finding the difference between the X's. So I'm just, what is the difference in the X, what's the difference in the Y? That will give me the slope. So if I were to set these up, let's say I'm talking about the Y values, as long as I go in the same direction, let's say I go from this point to this point, the Y values there are 10 and 3. If I just subtract those, 10 minus 3, I get 7. That's how much the Y's changed. And I can do the same thing with these X's. I can subtract the X's. 18 minus 15, that's the change in X. That gives me 3. So that is my slope. That's how much the Y's changed. Now, if those 2 points were on a graph, I could just count between the 2 points. But if you're just given the 2 points and you don't have a graph, calculate the change in Y, those last 2 numbers in the set, and then the change in X. Just make sure you go the same direction. If I said 10 minus 3, I have to say 18 minus 15 because I have to do the same order from point A to point B. And that will give me the slope, okay, between 2 points. Now, if you're given an equation and they ask for the average rate of change, understand that average rate of change is just another way of asking for the slope. Okay, now, no matter how they put this, if they give you the equation, the slope is always whatever is in front of X. So in this case, the slope, or the average rate of change, is just 1/4. Now, it doesn't matter what else they put in this paragraph. Now, you're going to see questions where, and this was on a test, where they gave us the equation, and then they say, you know, find the average rate of change, again, the slope, of the equation given by this, and they say y equals -2x plus 3 over the interval -5, 5. That interval part doesn't even matter. If they ever ask for the rate of change or the slope, just look in front of x. It's -2. Don't think that you have to do something with this information over here. Okay, if they ask for the average rate of change and they give you the formula or the equation, just use the equation to find the slope. And the same thing you'll see on, and this is from the homework, if they give you, it doesn't matter how much information, this is my average rate of change. They give you all this information about this equation, and then they say, what is the average rate of change? Well, it's always what's right in front of x. So in this one, the average rate of change is 4/3. I'm not having to do anything with that extra information that they give us. Okay. Now, they may also give you this as a table. They'll give you a bunch of points, x, y's. They give you an x and a y here. They give you an x and a y here. And they ask you to find the slope. It doesn't matter which 2 points I choose, but I'm going to subtract, just like we did before. I'm going to subtract an x from an x and a y from a y. All right, now let's just say, for example, I chose this y value 10 and I subtracted this this y value, because to find the slope I would say y minus y and x minus x. Okay, to find the slope I have to find the change in y. That is always going to be the rise. So if I subtract a y value from a y value, 10 minus 5, that'll give me the rise. And if I go up here and I say, okay, well, let me subtract an x from an x. 45 minus 49, that gives me the run. So to find the slope, it's just how much do the y's change and how much do the x's change. And there's a little symbol for that. Looks like a little delta, little triangle. Change in y over the change in x. That's going to give me the slope. Okay, so 10 minus 5 gives me 5. 45 minus 49, that's going to give me negative 4. So that is my slope, 5 over negative 4. Or you might see that as negative 5/4. Okay, that's the slope using those 2 points. Now I had to be specific when I use these points. If I subtract 10 from 5, I have to go straight above that to find my x's. 45 minus 49. I have to do it in the same order. Now I could have used any points there, but I would just need to make sure that I follow the same order. Like I could have said 0 minus negative 5 to find my y's. That's still going to give me positive 5. And I could have said 53 minus 57. It's still going to give me that negative 4. So either way, as long as you choose the 2 points and you use those same 2 points in the correct order, it's going to give you the slope between those 2 points. Okay, and that is how we calculate the average rate of change.